Hey, 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 what's going on, YouTube family? How y'all doing? How y'all doing? How y'all doing? And if you're new to my channel, I'm your home girl, Inga71, also known as Ginger Snaps. I mean, at least that's what they call me. So anyway, y'all, I am up here for not a long time, but for a good time. And I just want to know one thing. Have y'all ever seen the movie The Inkwell? It came out in 1994, and it is a definitely a summertime classic. Okay, a lot of people might not have seen it, but it is definitely a classic throwback summertime movie. And it's a feel good movie, a family movie. Like everybody in the family can sit and watch it. There's nothing that's egregious or disrespectful on, there's some things in here that's problematic, but that's life. But I'm saying, but it's nothing that's horrible in here. This is a nice family movie. Everybody from grandma down to the little kiddies could watch it. So it's really a good movie. I mean, of course, if they too young, the subject matters in here may not be for the little children, but if you're a teen from like teenagers all the way up to adult ages could watch this movie together. And actually, it's something to watch with your teenage children because there are lessons to be learned in here, and there's lessons to be learned for the adults. So I've been wanting to recap this for some time, but life be lifing. But I am here now, and we're gonna get all into it. Okay, let's see what we got here. Okay, so the movie, like I said, is called The Inkwell. Okay, and The Inkwell is how did I describe it? It's an affluent area in Martha's Vineyard that affluent for black people. It's a in upstate New York. It's an affluent area. They call the Inkwell for that the affluent blacks will go to. Because there are some parts of Martha's Vineyard that sort of they discriminate, or I don't know, I'm not now, but back then they discriminated against blacks being up there. So the black community had their own little area, and they called it the Inkwell. So this movie is a star-studded movie. It has everybody in it. It stars Larenz Tate as Drew Tate. Okay, that's funny how his last name is Tate, but starring Larenz Tate. Joe Morton plays his dad, Kenny Tate, and he was a former Black Panther. Suzzanne Douglas as Brenda Tate, and rest in peace to Suzzanne Douglas. We got the legendary. I don't know how I can't say it, but so many times legendary Glenn Turman, and he plays Spencer Phillips. We got the wonderful legendary Vanessa Bell Calloway, and she plays Frances Phillips, and she's the sister of Brenda Tate. And we got the delicious chocolate Morris Chestnut, who plays Harold Lee. And we have AJ Johnson as Heather Lee, and they're married. Jada Pinkett, she wasn't Smith at the time. This was just Jada Pinkett as Lauren Kelly. And we had Dwayne Martin as Junior Phillips. And he is the cousin to Lorenz. I'm sorry, the cousin to Drew. I'm gonna try not to use the actors' real names. I'm trying to stick with the character's name. We have Dwayne Martin as Junior Phillips, and he is the child of Spencer and Frances Phillips, the cousin to Drew Tate. The legendary, and rest in power to this lady, Mary Alice. She plays the mama, the grandmama, Evelyn. And then we have the wonderful Phyllis Yvonne Stinkley, Stickly, and she plays the psychologist or psychiatrist, Dr. Wade. And there are others in this movie as well, but those just a few that really stand out. It is a star-studded, production from top to bottom. Oh, and little fun fact, okay. Larenz Tate did this movie right after he did Menace to Society, and he played Old Dog, which Menace to Society is my number one favorite hood movie of all times, over all of the ones that, and I love all of them, but Menace to Society is just, it's so many life lessons in that movie. I've already reviewed it. You can check that out on my channel and my page. I've already reviewed that maybe a year ago. But if you haven't seen Menace, which I think is crazy, if you've never seen Menace, please go do so and then watch my review. Well, after he played Old Dog, he didn't want to get typecast into being that type of character again. So he took this role, and this is a total opposite. Old Dog is from the streets, okay? And like they say in that movie, young, black, and don't give a blank. But in this movie here, he is so sensitive and loving and caring. And people might look at Drew as being a little, like weird or whatever. But Drew is a beautiful character. And then Jada Pinkett, who also played in Menace, she plays in this movie as well. So it's a wonderful movie. So we're gonna get all um into it. Let's gonna get it started. So y'all, and I'm just gonna kind of go through things. I have some slides that we can focus on, but I want to start off with Drew. Like I said, they his father. This take place back in 1976. So this is a period piece. Okay. So the father is coming off from being a Black Panther, and he is trying to figure out his life. Who is he now that the Panthers are no more? What is he doing with himself? He's not happy right now because he was happier when he was part of the Panthers. And then when things fell apart, he's trying to now figure out his life. And it's also got it's a strain in their marriage. Well, he's not really connecting with his son. Drew is 16 years old, and Drew has this little doll named Lego. Okay. And it's like a little wooden doll, and he talks to the doll and have full-blown conversations with the doll. Drew is extremely smart. Like he can actually be some type of engineer, a scientist, an architect. He's very intelligent and smart. um he's probably, I bet you he has a high IQ level, but he seemed like he might be on the spectrum a little bit as well. But we didn't know anything about what the spectrum was back in 94 when this movie came out. But in today's times, we would say he's a little bit on the spectrum, you know. Um, but the father's trying to, have a conversation with him, trying to connect with his son. And Drew rigged some little device in his room that sounded like he was sleeping and snoring. And he come barreling through the window, scared the crap out of his father. And the father's just sick and tired of Drew. You know what I'm saying? He just don't understand his son because he's not what he think a young boy is for age 16. You know what I'm saying? He's not out there talking to girls. He's not out there partying. He's not doing things and probably smoking and drinking and things that he probably was doing and being a little roughneck at 16. And Drew is the opposite, so they just not connecting whatsoever. Okay, so they're packing up the car, and they going to head up to Like I said, up to Martha's Vineyard to visit um Brenda's the mama, played by Suzzanne Douglas, and to visit Brenda's family. Um okay, so the dad is named Kenny and mom's Brenda. And so they're going up there to visit the family, and but they worried that their son is emotionally disturbed. They do worry that their son may be a little emotionally disturbed. And like he got this favorite companion that he has is a doll. And I mentioned that he named the doll Lego. And it's after a character actually in William Shakespeare's Othello, and that's where the name came from. Um, and he's just little, he's quirky and little quirky and weird, But they also fear that he at one point Drew had set the family garage on fire, and Drew tried to say it was an accident, but the family felt like the parents felt like maybe, or at least the dad feels like it might be something else going on, and that he could be an arsonist. You know what I'm saying? So their mother and father, their relationship is Brenda and Kenny. Their relationship is just not where it's supposed to be. Like I said, he's not. He's still walking around dressing like he a panther, and even though the Panthers, I guess, were no more, and he's just having a difficult time. Um, he's just really having a difficult time trying to, you know, start over. Just I'm sorry. He's just trying to. He's just having a difficult time just starting over, starting fresh, and it's tearing a hole in their marriage, so to speak. So they tie his bike and all the luggage, and they're gonna spend a couple of weeks, a week or so in Martha's Vineyard. So they make it up to Martha's Vineyard, which they call the Inkwell, and this is Brenda's sister and her husband, and this is their beach home. And you see, they live nice. They got a nice, big old beach home sitting right on the beach, and they live in fabulous. And this is where we meet Spencer. Spencer, played by the legendary Glenn Turman. He is a black Republican. He's a black Republican. He got pictures of Richard Nixon hanging on his wall. He is just like very conservative, and he thinks, white is right, and you black get back. So, and she's walking around like she Diana Ross. The sister, and yeah, she just seemed like she just lost herself. um Let me see. Vanessa Bell Calloway plays Frances. Okay. And she just seemed like Frances seemed like she just lost herself. She walking around looking like she Diana Ross, and he's um they part of the black society, up there at the Inkwell. So they don't really have anything. um he had a picture of Ronald Reagan and Richard Nixon up on his wall, and I mean they just don't have anything in common. So they've been butting heads for years. So I mean this is very interesting, and this happens in a lot of black families. So even though this is a comedy, but it's some lot of things that happen in black families just like this. The have and the have nots, light skin versus dark skin, or things of that nature. Well, of course, everybody here is pretty much the same shade, but but it's the have and the have nots, and the haves look their nose down at the people who don't have. So and that's what they portraying here, the bourgeoisie as they call it. So then we get the mama Evelyn, played by Mary Alice, and she comes down, and she has seemed like she has an attitude and a stank, just a stank attitude with her daughter Brenda, and you can tell that they just don't have a good relationship. So but she loves Drew. That's her grandson, and she acknowledged him, but she really didn't give um Brenda the time of day. So I don't really know what was Evelyn's problem because they never really addressed it. But you can tell that they have a strained relationship between Evelyn and her daughter Brenda. Okay, so now we meet um we meet Drew's cousin, um, played by Dwayne Martin. His name is Junior. Okay, Junior Phillips. So we meet Junior, and uh they're total opposites. Drew is a little quirky and weird and everything, and Junior likes to party, wants to be about the girls. And it's not that Drew don't like girls; he just awkward. He's socially awkward. It seems like he has anxiety. He deals with depression. And like I said, he looked like he could be on the spectrum a little bit. And so, the mother is just giving him a pep talk and say, look, just have fun. Don't look at this as a negative. You don't know how the summer might turn out. Just try to enjoy. I think they're there for maybe like a week. And they said, just try and enjoy yourself while you're here. And Junior lets him hang out with him and his friends. So he Junior knows that he's a little weird, but he still lets him, hang with him. That's his little cousin, I guess. So he's sitting there while Drew is, I guess unpacking, getting getting used to his surroundings. He looks out the window, and on the beach, he sees this beautiful young lady dancing, and that's um Jada Pickett's character. Let's see what I said. Her name, Lauren. Jada Pickett's character, Lauren, and he was so excited. So he goes to get his bike and his things. He tells he bumps into his cousin out there on the beach. His cousin tells him, "Look, she's stuck up. I don't know if you have a chance with Lauren because she don't really give people a chance." And but Drew's gonna at least try. Drew's gonna try, and because he's fascinated with her, and uh, he's 16, so he likes girls. He just is awkward about trying to go about meeting them. So that happens. We all was 16 at one point. Okay, so then while the kids, the boys are on the beach, trying to chase the girls, we got the parents, and they are like on opposite sides of each other. Like you got Brenda and Kenny, on their side, and then you got Spencer and his wife on the other side, Francis, and Brenda wants them to be peace, but Spencer and Kenny just can't seem to get along. I mean, Spencer is, like I said, a black conservative Republican, and you got Kenny, who's a Black Panther, who's liberal, who's about the people, and they are just button heads. And then Spencer saying rude things about Drew and saying, "Look, y'all need to take him to see our friend who's a psychologist, which is Dr. Wade." you know he might be he trying to insinuate that Drew might be a little crazy because he did burn down the family garage, even though Drew said it was an accident. But I guess he was out there playing with matches. Drew probably just looking for attention. Drew probably just looking for attention, and that's sometimes kids do that to get their parents' attention, because also the parents are dealing with their own um, marriage, and it's not falling apart, but it's rocky. It's very rocky right now. Okay, so now we go back to seeing the kids again on the on the beach. Um, like Drew is in the pursuit of trying to get with old snooty uppity Lauren, you know, and he's going to keep trying and trying and trying until he, you know, until he gets there, until he can connect with her. Um, so it's he gonna have some trials and tribulations trying to connect with her. But I'm gonna tell y'all, these afros that they got on Larenz and Dwayne Martin is hilarious. But this movie is so cute and so hilarious, y'all. Me talking about it's not even doing it justice. Y'all have to watch it. But yeah, so the parents, they are just not, Kenny and Brenda, they just not feeling Francis and Spencer, and everybody just butting heads with each other. So, but Francis, I mean not Francis, I'm sorry, Brenda, she's trying to talk to her husband and say, listen, you have to try to, you know, you got to try to get along. You don't have to be a Black Panther all the time. And he was like, that's who I am. And he felt like being a Black Panther is his identity. And he's just lost now that he doesn't know what to do with himself. And then here, these two, they get into an argument, Spencer and Kenny. And it just thought, they started talking politics and just, you when you have a conservative Republican and a very liberal Democratic person, sometimes y'all can't have these kind of conversations because it don't end up going well. That's why I do not talk politics with most people. Okay. Um, and it's okay to be a little conservative on some things, but this sound like uh Spencer is just out of touch. He's just one of them Negroes that's just out of touch. He has lost himself and don't know who he is as a Black man. So they just button heads. And so Brenda and Kenny, their relationship is just like in shambles right now. It's not to the part of getting a divorce, but they just, they going through some ups and downs in their marriage, you know. So, okay, so while the grown-ups is up in there arguing and going back and forth with each other, the kids is getting ready to go to a dance. Okay, it's about to be a dance, and you see what Junior got on. He got his one piece jumpsuit on with his nipples popping out. Drew got his you know, his little paisley shirt on and slacks, whatever. And he go Junior's on two best friends, and they all going to the dance. And the soundtrack, y'all, is fire. It's a great soundtrack. It got the Jacksons on it. It got so many different people. Y'all just check out the soundtrack. Soundtrack is everything. So they go up into the party and they see Lauren, and Lauren is just shutting down all the dudes. Every dude that tried to come up to Lauren, she just shutting them down. And Drew tries to go up to this other lady, young girl, and she wasn't giving him the time of day. Matter of fact, she laughed up in his face. Um, so yeah, I mean, one thing I say about Drew will keep trying. He will keep trying and trying and trying, even if he falls flat on his face. He will keep trying. Okay, so they had a good old time at the dance, and Drew did end up dancing, a little bit with Lauren, but she ended up kind of pushing him to the curb for someone else. Um, well, then the next morning, everybody sitting there eating breakfast. And here go Drew talking about he gonna light the stove, the pilot, to I guess have breakfast or whatever. And they was like, no, 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 we ain't having you light nothing because the last time you lit something, you burnt the whole garage down. But they still not really speaking to to Spencer because it's how ignorant he was acting, with his in-laws. So they finally took the advice of Spencer and Francis, and they go see Dr. Wade. Okay. And she's like a psychologist, a psychiatrist, therapist, however you want to say it. And she sees that the family dynamic is a mess. The parents are kind of torn apart with each other, and that's what's also really affecting Drew. Seeing his parents not getting along, and he feels that maybe they might end up getting divorced, and and I think that's what's really affecting him the most. So she says that she wants to meet with Drew alone, and she wants to have one-on-one sessions with Drew. And she said that they wanted to try to pay her, and she said no. I'm doing this on the house. You don't have to pay me anything. But she really wanted to meet with Drew, and it's actually going to be a good thing. And I'm gonna tell you, therapy is a good thing for everybody. You know, have somebody to talk to if you can, because sometimes you cannot talk to your family. Sometimes they the worst ones, and everybody might not have a real close friend that they can talk to. So a lot of times people have to go and talk to somebody on the outside who can give you an objective opinion, you know, without because they're not involved. And so this is going to be a good thing for Drew, and actually it's going to be good for the family. So as the parents, they leave out arguing, get in the car. Drew goes outside to his bike, and he's talking to his doll, and Dr. Wade watches him through the window and sees Drew having a full-blown conversation with his doll, Lego. So Drew ends up bumping into he was watching this beautiful woman named Heather Lee, played by AJ Johnson, playing tennis with her husband. Her husband, on the other hand, is a womanizer and a cheat. He looks at every behind that he can find. Okay, played by Morris Chestnut. His name is Harold Lee. So we got Heather Lee and Harold Lee, and he watches every behind other than his wife's behind. He's been cheating on Heather right under her nose, and I think she knows it, but it's just not confirmed. I think she feels it and she knows it, but it's not confirmed as of yet, and we will see that happen. But she's out there playing tennis, and she tripped and fell, and Drew was right there to help pick her up and help her. And while Drew is helping Heather off the ground from tripping and falling from tennis, Harold is over there looking at some other tenderoni's backside, so he's a sleaze bag. So Drew's end up going to the beach. I mean, their house is right on the beach anyway. The family beach home is on the beach. And he sees Lauren, and Lauren is always snooty, got her nose up in there. Man, just like real rude, like you're blocking my son, and just he's trying to be so friendly and smiling, so sweet. He's just so loving, and it, you know. I don't know why he had the bicycle on the beach, because you can't ride no bicycle on the damn sand. But that's Drew, and but she's just so rude to him. And Junior trying to just say, look, man, she's not gonna probably give you no time of day, so you might as well, you might have to move on. You might have to move on. But Drew is determined he gonna keep on, and I guess until he, you know, get some type of conversation going on with this girl. So he's talking to to Lego again, and he's just feeling depressed. But they're back at the house. They having a party. The grown-ups is having a party, okay? And they getting down. I'm gonna say, y'all check out the soundtrack. The soundtrack is everything. And they getting down, they getting funky, they doing the funky chicken, they doing the bump, they doing the freak. They is getting down with it, right? This is the 70s, y'all. So I'm using all 70s terms. Okay. So it was so Heather Heather Lee is sitting there talking with her husband, and then soon as she gets up to go walk away for a second, he's sitting there trying to talk to this other broad on the other end of the couch. Like I said, he just scumbag right under his wife's nose. Junior got a little tenderoni. He bring back to his room, and so he wanted some privacy. So Drew, opted to walk out. He said, "Oh yeah," he understood, and he walked out. And Harold, this sleaze bag, he's sitting there getting into an argument with his wife Heather on the beach, and just being real rude, just being a dick, okay, to the 12th power. And Heather sees Drew sitting there all alone, and she was trying to console him and talk to him, and they started to become friends with each other. And she thanked him for helping her the other day. Okay, so then the next day they back at the beach again, but this time they at a nudist beach. So when they thought they were gonna go down there and they was gonna see all the new women that's walking around nude, but they saw a whole lot of old people that was walking around nude. But what they did see, what Drew saw, was while he was tripping and falling on the sand, he saw Harold Lee at the nudist beach with this other broad, which is not his daggone wife. And Drew got him right there. He busted. Now he don't really remember Drew like that, but Drew remembers his face, and so he is definitely busted. Well, he goes back to see Dr. Wade, and he just sad. You know, he just felt like, I think he just felt like no one likes him and nobody wants him, and his family is dynamic is falling apart. He does like Dr. Wade's hair, so she decided to go ahead and plait and put plaits in his hair. And I think Drew just needed, what he needed was just somebody to show him some love and attention, someone to listen to him. And I think that's the whole part with the father, Kenny. He wasn't ever listening to his son. He wasn't really understanding his son, didn't try to. And he was close with his mother, because most sons are always very close with their mothers. You cannot break up the dynamic between the mother and the son. But the dad and Kenny and Drew, they just could not seem to get it together. And I think Dr. Wade was the sounding board. She just listened. She didn't really give any whole bunch of advice or tell him what he supposed to do. She just listened to him, and I think that's what he liked. Well, after he got his hair plaited, he goes out there and on his bike, and he's feeling good, and he's just riding around town. He's like in, I guess, their little downtown area. He's riding around town. He bumps into Heather. Heather was supposed to be getting picked up by her husband, but the husband didn't pick her up because he at the nudist beach with another chick. Well, she gives him Drew gives Heather a ride home on his bike, and then he walks in and sees them together, and then she just told him, "Oh, hey, this is Drew. He gave me a ride home." And he came up with some bogus reason why he couldn't pick her up. And he said, "Oh, your face looked very familiar," but he still couldn't put two and two together of who he was. He just said his face looked familiar, but he just didn't remember who he was. But so he's starting to become like friends with Heather. They're bonding. And then also, I wanted you to remember this: Heather is a grown woman. She's probably maybe in her 20s or so. So keep that in mind, and that's going to come up later on. So Drew and Kenny go, and they finally get some father and son time, and they go try to go fishing. And Drew doesn't know what he's doing, but so Kenny's trying to teach him. um, how to fish, and just trying to talk to him, ask him if he like girls. And Kenny is happy to know his son likes girls because he was worried there for a minute. He thought maybe his son did not like girls, and I'm not going down that rabbit hole, but he thought his son probably didn't like girls. His son is just little quirky and weird. And but anyway, they had a good man to man conversation. And then they also talked about, you know, how it is on your first time, you know, getting with a girl. You know what I'm saying? Not being a virgin anymore. So they had a good father son man to man talk. So after they finished fishing, um, they the grown ups decided they're gonna all go play tennis. Okay, they're gonna all the grown ups are gonna all go have a tennis match together. So while the grown ups are going to play tennis, Drew ends up going to meet up with Lauren, and and he's thinking that they're gonna get something to eat, like a slice of pizza or a hamburger, some fries. And she talking about she wants some lobster. And he said, "Look, I ain't got no money for no lobster." And she said, "You don't need money for lobster." And then she gonna show him how to catch a lobster. Well, so the grown ups now is at the tennis court. So we got Kenny and Brenda versus Francis and Spencer, and it gets heated. And they get to go. Look, it got so heated. Spencer got his behind. He lost the game, so he gets angry that he loses. And then he started talking smack. Kenny goes and punches Spencer right in the mouth, and then the women end up getting into it. And it became a big old squabble, you know. But Spencer deserved to get smacked in the mouth because he been talking cash money crap from the moment they got there. So he deserves to get slapped in the mouth, you know. Talk, because this he just so he just sit there. He got his nose so far up, up in the air like a damn giraffe that he looking down at Kenny, and then also talking negative about Drew. So that's how the sisters even got into it. So yeah, they got to fighting and arguing with each other, and Spencer said something crazy to Kenny. Kenny was like, I ain't having it today, bro. And he punched him right square in the mouth, and they got the squabbling out there. So while all that's going on with the grown-ups, Lauren and Drew uh out there on the pier, and she's trying to tell him, oh, they got the traps down at the bottom for the lobster, and it's only about 30 feet deep. He said, 30 feet? I can't swim like that. And she goes and pushes him down into the water. Now, what if he could not swim? What if he could not swim? 30 feet down? Look, I can't swim like that. I can't swim really at all, really. I could splash around in the pool, but I can't swim. So, and especially not going some damn 30 feet. But they end up getting the lobster out of the lobster trap at the bottom of the water, and they sit there and had started a little bonfire and got full off of eating lobster. So they were talking, and I just felt like Lauren was just using him, though. Lauren was just using him. She didn't really care about Drew. She just used him probably to try to make her ex-boyfriend, because she had just broke up with her ex-boyfriend, probably to try to make her ex-boyfriend jealous. She really did not. I mean, she probably thought he was a cute little guy, like a pet. She treated him like he was a pet. I play with you when I feel like playing with you, but she didn't really take him serious. That's the way I see it. So when he goes back, he took Lauren home. They didn't do anything with each other. It was all like platonic and friendly. He is falling for Lauren, but Lauren is not thinking about him. he goes to tell his cousin, he goes back home and tell Junior, like, oh man, so we went and got a lobster and we ate the lobster and we went to the arcade and we had a good time and I took her home. And Junior thought it was gonna be some other hanky panky going on, but nothing happened. But he did ask Lauren to go to the 4th of July. They was having a 4th of July bicentennial fireworks celebration, celebrating America's 200th birthday at the time. And he asked her to go as his date to the bicentennial. And she had agreed to it. And then that's going to go left later on. Okay, so then the next day, he's minding his business, walking down the street, and Drew is, and he out there with the fellas, and he's eating a candy apple, and then he sees all out in the open Harold Lee just carrying on with this other side chick, and they over in the corner somewhere in the alley about to get down with the get down and have sex. I mean, he blatantly cheating on Heather right out in the open. Everybody sees it. And I believe Heather knows. It's just that she was just in denial. Well, he decided he was gonna go tell Heather, but he said, no, I'm gonna set a trap for him. And I'm gonna get back at him for what he's doing to Heather. So while Drew trying to figure all that out, Brenda walks down to the beach. She sees her mother, Evelyn. She asks her mother, Evelyn, say, "Have you seen Kenny?" Say, "Yeah, he's down at the beach." And then Evelyn tells Brenda, "I love you," because and Brenda looks so shocked because that's not something that she ever hears her mother say. Her mother never tells her that she loves her. So that was a shock. And so I don't. They didn't really address as to why Brenda and Evelyn, the mama, didn't like each other or had issues with each other. Why they butted heads. I think the main reason was she married this Black Panther. She didn't marry a successful man like her sister did. Her sister Frances did, and I think that was one of the main things. Um, but I guess her being there at the Inkwell, I think Brenda being at the Inkwell, that just made the mother maybe miss her. And I'm just assuming they didn't say any of this. So you got to kind of use your own imagination. But the bottom line, whatever issues they had, they worked it out. And she tells her she loves her. So Brenda and Kenny, they just realized that, listen, our marriage is worth fighting for. I love you. You love me. We in this together. We gonna figure this out. Ain't nobody breaking up. Nobody getting no divorce. Our son needs us. And then, and they kiss, and that's how it look. Look, marriages go through ups and downs. There is no marriage that's perfect. There is no marriage that's great. All marriages go through ups and downs. And the first time that something happens, you can't just say, I'm gonna walk away and I'm gonna get divorced. It just don't work like that. Okay. You have to put in the work until you just can't do it no more. Unless there's violence involved, that's a whole different conversation. But I'm talking about sometimes in life as we get older, things that we loved and we was in our teens and our 20s and maybe our 30s ain't cute once you get 40s and 50s and over. So I think they was just going through some growing pains and they decide they're going to work on their marriage. They love each other. I love Black love, y'all. I'm always going to cheer for Black love. But in this case, I want this marriage to break the bust up. Okay? Because he is a stone cold cheater. He's doing it blatantly up in Heather's face. Okay, Harold is. And so Drew decided he was going to sabotage um Harold's car. And he decided to he put fireworks. He put weights around the car so he couldn't open up the door. The door handles broke off. He couldn't get out the door. He put fireworks inside the car, And so he had to bust from the top of the convertible and climb out and run out the car. So he just did all this damage to this man's car because he loved his car. And then and I know that that's not gonna stop him from cheating, but Drew felt like I got a little bit of satisfaction because of the way you hurt my friend Heather. Heather's a sweet lady, and the way you doing her, I'm sure that's what he didn't say this, and I'm sure that's how he was thinking. So they later, the grown-ups all sitting together again. They having a picnic. They passing the fried chicken and the potato salad and all that to each other. And Kenny apologizes for his part in that fight. And but of course, Spencer got his head so far up a giraffe's butt, he cannot sit there and say he's sorry. But they end up all making amends with each other. They all end up just, letting bygones be bygones. Because regardless, they're family. Um, but there's some family members that no matter what, you just can't deal with them. You just can't. But in this case, it wasn't that deep. They they just have difference of opinion, and they decide to go ahead and just apologize and make the peace because them two arguing put tension within the rest of the whole family. So this is the day of the 4th of July celebration. Drew is dressing up with a shirt and tie. He got flowers. He's showing up at Lauren's door, knocking on the door, ring the doorbell, whatever. And he got stood up. Like it's dark in the house. Nobody was answering. And he sits there on the porch and he's just sad, that he got stood up. And then, but now you go over to Heather, and Heather was going through Harold's bag, and she finds champagne bottles and other stuff, and she found this time. I guess she finally just got fed up. I think she always knew that her husband Harold was cheating, but she just now got the proof, and she just got tired of him and told him to get out, and she put him out, which I was glad she did because he was horrible. He talked, not only was he cheating, but then he talked to her disrespectful, like an abusive type of way. You know what I'm saying? Condescending, gaslighting her. I say it that way. And so she got sick of him, and she finally told him to get the hell on. So Drew is sitting there on the porch, waiting and waiting and waiting, and just upset and crying over Lauren. All along, Lauren is in the house. She just wasn't answering the door. He peeked through. He saw a light pop up on in the house, and he peeks in the window through the curtains, and he see Lauren getting down with her ex boyfriend. They got back together, and they smashing, and she clearly looking at him through the window, through the curtain. She see him out there, and he's crying, and he's crying, and his feelings is hurt. He had a summer love. And I know about having a summer love. Lord have mercy, y'all. Now I know y'all ain't asked me my business, but I was about 15, I guess, 15, 16. I was probably like Drew's age. And I had me a summer love, like probably by 15. And that I'm gonna tell you, that's the best love you can have is a summer love. Like I'm telling you, the best love, the love you can have, the the love making you can have. I mean, a summertime love. I was probably about 15, 16 years old, and I'm thinking I was grown, but that's I'll never forget my summer love. I had one summer love like that. Outside of that, I ain't never really have a summer love. But I understand exactly how Drew feel. And when you get your heart broken, oh, that is the worst. So he is walking on the beach because he's so distraught and upset. He sees Heather walking on the beach. And now remember I said earlier too, don't forget this. Heather is a grown woman, probably in her 20s. Like I say, she could probably be anywhere between 21 to 25. She's a grown woman. Drew's 16. They end up connecting on the beach, and when the fireworks went off for 4th of July, they had fireworks too. They went over in the corner and over in the bushes somewhere. And Drew, look, they did not show us Drew having sex with this grown woman. They didn't show it, thank goodness, but it insinuated that they had sex. Now she is a grown woman, probably in her early 20s, and he's 16. Now, had this been the opposite, and this was a man, people would be saying, "Oh, he is a predator." Now you have to have the same energy for her. She's a predator too. You know what I'm saying? So in this day and time, she should be locked up just as well as if it was a man. But anyway, this was supposed to be taken back in 1976. Back in the day, we didn't care about these types of things. We wasn't, and especially a boy sleeping with an older woman, that was like a chest bump, a high five, you know, you know, there you go. You know what I'm saying? That was how it was back then. Um, but in this day and time, a 16-year-old boy with an older woman is just she'll be considered a predator just as well. So that was problematic. But this is a period piece in the 70s. And anyway, they didn't show us that. We just have to assume, just from how they were intimate with each other, um, that they end up, having sex. And he did have a condom with him, because Junior had gave him a condom. So did he use it? We don't know. Um, I'm glad they didn't show us that. So he stayed out all night long. The family was getting ready. Kenny and Brenda was getting ready to pack up to leave. But they were waiting to find Drew, waiting for Drew to come back. And Drew came back the next day. And instead of the parents being like upset that he came home the next day, because I'm gonna tell you, I did that. I stayed out all night long too when I was probably about 16 years old, 16, 17. And I came home the next day, but it wasn't no smiles and high five. It was yeah, I got it. I got it. Okay. And my father wasn't playing that. But I'm a girl too. There's a big difference between the double standard of a girl and a boy. And I understand it. But Drew came back the next day, and Drew let his father know that, he'd been with a girl all night long. And they didn't have to he didn't have to say that we did anything. The father put two and two together, and the father put two and two together. He didn't ask anything about who the girl was and all that. He just was happy that his son got his first piece. And because he just always thought that maybe something was off with his son, but he realized his son is a normal kid. He's just a late bloomer. He was a late bloomer. So but the father is definitely proud. The father's definitely proud. So Junior wanted to know, who was you out all night with? Was it Lauren? And he said, no, it wasn't Lauren. He said, it wasn't Lauren, then who? And he would not. One thing I like that Drew did, he did not kiss and tell. But the family everybody ended up, at the end, they all kissed and hugged. They love each other. They just had difference of opinion. Um, they all, the Brenda, Kenny, Drew, they all back to going back into, New York. Where they in New York? This is upstate New York, but they all going back into the city. I said that way. I'm assuming they didn't say where they lived at. So they could have been in Brooklyn, they could have been in Harlem, something like that. But anyway, they going back down into the city, and they saying their goodbyes to everybody. So they end up, I'm glad that Kenny and Spencer end up making up with each other, and it was all good. But Drew held it together. He did not say who he slept with. He just made it known that it wasn't Lauren. And so Junior was like, he chasing him down the street trying to find out who it is. But before they left, one last stop they had to make was to go see Dr. Wade. And he just wanted to thank Dr. Wade for everything. Dr. Wade actually listened to him. She took the time with him, something that his own parents wasn't even doing. But at the end, it worked out because now the relationship with the mom and dad seemed like it's patched back together. And Drew is now happy that he got his family back, and they on the ferry going back, because you got to take a little ferry boat to get out there to the Inkwell. So they he's just happy that it seemed like he got everything he wanted. He not a virgin anymore. He knows what affection feels like, and he see his parents back together, and also his relationship with him and his dad is bonding. So it turned out at the end, it was just beautiful, And this is the Inkwell, y'all. At the end of this movie, it just is beautiful. This is a great movie. I'm not even giving it justice by telling y'all everything that happened. Please go and watch this movie. It is so good. You can find it on some streaming platforms. But definitely, just go and check it out. It is a really, really great movie. And it's and it definitely is not what you were expecting after Larenz Tate had just played old dog in Men's Society. So for him to play this opposite role, it was just beautiful. And now this movie was not received well at the beginning. It wasn't received well because I think they just didn't put any what's the word I'm looking for? They didn't put any effort into the movie, like promotion. I'm sorry, the promotion. They didn't put a lot of promotion into the movie back then, but it now has become a cult classic. It has really became a cult classic, and so you know, I love the Inkwell. I've always loved the Inkwell. It is a fantastic movie. If you haven't seen it, go watch it. And you can watch it with like if you've got teenage children, you can watch it with them because it's a really nice movie that everybody can watch and everybody can enjoy. It's a family movie. It's funny, but it got little sad parts in it, but not too sad. Um and it's just good, and it's a happy ending. No gangster stuff, no drugs, no crime, just regular black folk living regular black people's lives, and I love it. So y'all, that is my summertime throwback movie, The Inkwell. It came out 94. So please go find it on some streaming platform somewhere and watch it and enjoy it. And I'll be back to do another throwback summer movie. Well, not necessarily a summertime movie, but just some more throwback movies. So just, keep your, just keep on following me. Just keep on subscribing, following me, see what I got coming up. And I appreciate everybody who's sitting here listening to me. And I will catch y'all on the next one. Love y'all. Bye.